All right, let's talk about the iPhone SE. So this phone came in last week, and the moment it did, I switched out my SIM from my old iPhone SE to this new one. Now, this small, older iPhone SE was one of my favorite phones of all time. I even went on record last year saying that this was my favorite phone from 2019, and I mean, it's an awesome phone. But the phone that I've been using the most of recently has actually been the OnePlus 8 Pro. I've been using this for about a month at this point, and to go from this like giant screened phone that is extremely feature rich. Like this has everything. It's big, it's bright, it's super fast. To go from this to this, a relatively feature poor phone, it's a bit of a jump, right? So the way I'm going to do this video is I'm going to talk about kind of the deficiencies that the iPhone SE has, kind of address them and talk about whether or not I feel like they are legitimate deficiencies. And then we'll get into some bigger picture stuff. So the three kind of big things I'd like to talk about in terms of shortcomings of the iPhone SE are number one, the screen, number two, battery life, and three, the camera. So the first one, the screen. This is, there's no way you can get around this. This is a dated screen. It's small, it's low res, and it's only 60 hertz. I mean, this has got to be one of the least impressive displays you can get right now on a smartphone in 2020. And when you compare it to the OnePlus 8 Pro, this has got to be one of the most impressive displays you can get on a phone in 2020. And when I pulled this thing out of the box, I was like, okay, is this what we're doing? We're going back to like the forehead and chin again? Like when you put them side by side, the difference is massive. But when I used this phone over the weekend just as a regular phone and wasn't trying to nitpick and draw comparisons between this and other phones, I'm perfectly happy with this screen. I really am. It's small, but it's a good screen nonetheless. The other thing I want to talk about is the battery life. So the battery on the iPhone SE is a relatively small one. It's 1800 milliamp hours. And if you're doing regular stuff like emails and browsing the web and Netflix and social media stuff, it's fine. It'll comfortably last you the day, maybe a day and a half. It's shorter than the 11 and 11 Pro, but for the size of the phone, it's normal. The stuff that kills the battery though is games. And at first I couldn't figure it out. I was thinking, is it a certain type of game I'm playing? Is it this particular title? Like maybe this Diablo clone is just really poorly optimized, but it was with everything. And it was going through battery life super fast. Like we're talking like 1% of battery life every minute and a half of gameplay. And I think it's because of the processor. Like if you think about the design of this phone, when they put everything together, they put the 1800 milliamp hour battery in here with that low res screen, it actually can hit those claimed numbers because those are not intensive tasks. But the moment you push this CPU hard, and it can go hard because it's a very capable A13 chip, this thing drains battery life like you wouldn't believe. And it's not just games, like anything that uses the processor for an extended period of time. Like if you're shooting photos or videos and you're just in the camera app and you're just snapping away, it'll drain super fast as well. So depending on what you do, it will affect your battery life very heavily on this particular phone. So if you're just like doing regular stuff, easy day, day and a half. But if you're pushing it hard, you'll kill it fast. Okay, a quick note about the camera system. If you're shooting well-lit scenes, I think you're going to get great image quality. Most people will be very happy with the daylight photos that come out of this camera. There's probably some people out there, well, a good number of people out there that would have loved a telephoto or an ultra-wide, but you don't get that. But I think everybody would have preferred a better night mode. So they didn't include like an official night mode on this camera. I'm convinced that there's like the processing capability, maybe not to get the exact same image quality as like an 11 or an 11 Pro, but better than this, I would have thought. Like it's clearly its weak point. The low light photography on the iPhone SE isn't great. And compared to like a Pixel 3a, that thing is way better for low light photos. So depending on, again, the type of photography you take, you should be happy with the iPhone SE camera. The thing is though, like even if you're not a professional photographer, you're gonna invariably take a photo at night, right? Stuff happens in the evening, and I think they could have done better than this. Those are the main deficiencies of the iPhone SE, like the camera, the battery life, and the screen. And depending on what you want out of your phone, now you know, at least from my perspective, how those deficiencies manifest themselves in real use. So I think for a lot of people, they look at this phone and it's like the perfect fit, right? If you're someone that you just want a very functional phone that's super reliable, easy option, right? But then there's the more discerning individual. I think a lot of you guys are that type of person where it's like you see the benefits of it and you see the negatives of it, and it may not add up to you, right? Like how is this a $400 phone? How is this phone that seemingly has so many imperfections still so well reviewed by so many people. And there was actually a tweet by Lou from Unbox Therapy, which I thought was fantastic. He had this picture of the Samsung Galaxy S7 Edge, and he was like, if they put in a Snapdragon 865 and they priced it at $399, call it a day, would people actually buy that phone? Would there be actual interest in a product like that? And it's obviously no, right? No one in their right mind would want that product. And yet this thing is available. This thing has interest, and this thing's flying off shelves. But I think it's because Apple does it a very particular way. Like, this phone has no competitor. There is no Android equivalent of a $400 phone that's quite like this. And everyone's like, what about brand X, brand Y? The difference is that with every other brand that's trying to hit that $400 or $500 price point, they are trying to make these phones stick out from the rest. They're trying to make these flagship killer phones for $400 or $500. And they're putting in superfluous features like 108 megapixel cameras and crazy high refresh screens and curved edges. They're trying to make those phones stick out as being special. The problem with that is that when you do that, your phone, you lose out on the basics. This phone nails the basics, and it's $400. I think it's going to be a crazy popular phone this year. Now, this conversation seems to only apply with North American pricing. When I look at South America and even some Euro pricing and India's pricing, like, it's a completely different conversation. This is a more expensive phone than the OnePlus 8 in India. That, like, I know there's crazy tariffs over there, but that seems really expensive for an iPhone SE. Now, as for this particular phone, I was going to replace my mom's iPhone 7 with this. This was supposed to be a gift for her, but in this process of using the phone and trying to develop some thoughts for it to share with you guys, I've grown to like this thing. I can't really explain it. Like, every logical part of my body is like, this is not a special phone, Dave. It's just an iPhone SE. It's really not meant for enthusiasts, but I'm drawn to it. I gotta be honest. I really like it. So I'm gonna swap out my main SIM into this thing and just use it for a bit, just to see what it's like. Okay, hope you guys enjoyed this video. Thumbs if you liked it, subs if you loved it. I'll see you guys next time.